Hey guys, Dylan here. Today what we're going to do, we're going to run through the squat pattern and three common compensatory patterns that you might see when someone performs a squat. So this will be a great assessment tool for any allied health professionals, or if you're just interested in your own training, you want to film yourself do a squat a couple of times and then maybe break down your movement a little bit. This might give you a better guide on what you've visually seen and what that's telling you about what's happening within certain areas of your body, right? Okay, so the first one we're going to look at your feet. So often what you'll see, and most people are cued, to stand in a squat where their feet are turned slightly out. Okay, in terms of an assessment point of view, we actually want to squat with your feet pointing forwards. Okay, just allows you to better see what's going on with the feet. So what you might see when someone performs a squat, as they squat down, you might actually see that the feet turn out a bit. Okay, now this can happen in one leg, both, and can also happen at the same time, different times, depending on what's going on. What that tells you is if someone's squatting down and the feet sort of turn out, okay, what that means is they're lacking hip internal rotation, and then also their ability to internally rotate through their tibia or their shin bone, which obviously unlocks knee flexion. So if they're limited in those areas, their feet are going to turn out to unlock a little bit more ankle mobility and to allow them to sort of drop down further into that squat. So if you see the feet go out, just be mindful that you got to look at the hip and or that knee joint. All right, cool. Second one we're going to look at is hip shifting. So when we talk about that, and I might turn around to do this, so what we mean by that is when someone squats down, they might shift into one hip, all right? So laterally shift into one hip. What that's going to tell us is that the person, so whichever way they shift, so let's say they're shifting into their right hip, that's actually telling us that they're lacking internal rotation in that left hip, okay? So what that might look like, and this will be exaggerated, but we're gonna go here. As I squat down, I'm gonna shift into that right, okay? So what it's telling me is that I'm actually lacking internal rotation in my left hip. So in order to get down into a squat, I shift away to keep that left hip open and to allow myself to drop down into the squat. So again, if you watch someone from the back or you film yourself from the back doing a squat, you see that lateral shift, it's just telling you that whichever hip you're shifting away from is lacking internal rotation, and that's going to be something that we need to address, all right? The third and final compensation that you might see is when someone hinges through a squat, okay? So what happens is that some people might cue, the whole knees over toes debate, all right? And you might be told that cue of don't let the knees go forward, okay? So what ends up happening is by not letting the knees go forward, we're gonna dump through our pelvis, which means we're gonna arch, right? So we're gonna arch through that low back, and what that pretty much does is it shoots our hips backwards, okay? And we're gonna get that sort of, tightness. So if we're restricted through that anterior hip, so we've got restriction through there, okay? So the hip's gonna go back, and then we're going to end up in that folded position, all right? So we're going to be that anterior tilt through our pelvis, and then we're going to be anterior flared through our rib cage, all right? So it's going to look like that rather than that nice getting down, okay? So just be mindful when it comes to a squat with the whole knees over toes thing. Your knees need to travel forward to a degree, all right? And obviously just find what's comfortable, because we want a squat that looks more like this rather than something that looks like that. All right, so to summarize, we've got our three compensations being the feet turning out, hip shift into either side, okay, and then also a hinge pattern rather than a squat pattern, all right? So as I said, for any allied health professionals, hopefully that'll help with regards to your assessment, or anyone else just interested in their own training and how they're moving, give that a go, film yourself, do it from different angles as well to get a better picture of it, and then that way it'll give you a guide on what areas may be restricted, all right? And if you'd like any help with regards to how to go about improving internal rotation with regards to your hips, tibias, anything like that, feel free to leave a comment or contact our page, all right? Cheers. Thanks, guys.